Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Oh, quick DMG update. So last week, got an email from INEO. They asked for my PIN so they can get in and test my DMG, which when I shipped it to them, their directions, they had me put my PIN and all my info on a sheet of paper, stuff it in a box. That way they had it. Well, last week, they emailed me and said, "Hey, we need to test this. What's your PIN?" Really? Okay. So I emailed them back, gave them my PIN, said, "Here's my PIN." Now, they said they were going to test it for 2 days and ship it. I resent them my PIN, I don't know, Tuesday night. Yeah, Tuesday evening. Haven't heard from them. Been expecting an email from them anytime to say it's being shipped back. Got an email from them this morning asking me for my PIN so they can finally test my device. So I sent them an email saying my PIN is on the piece of paper with my DMG. Also, emailed you my PIN last week, but once again, here's my PIN. Really starting to bug me with this, that they can't get their shit together or even read an email. But anyway. All right, moving on. Today, we're doing a couple things. Number one, we're going to go over how to spot reproduction games. Okay? Now, I know my channel is all about handheld emulators and things like that, so actual physical games, they're not for everybody. Now, the longer you stay in this, especially buying handhelds, playing the games, eventually you kind of want to start buying the actual games and start a collection, especially if you have the original hardware lying around like I do. So you start shopping around. Now you get on things like eBay, Mercari, whatnot, even your local area if you use like Facebook Marketplace. Now the issue is, are you buying an authentic game or are you being overcharged for a reproduction? Now I have no problem buying reproduction games because I go into like AliExpress, whatever. I go in there and I look for repros because they're $3 to $5 a piece depending. Now it's kind of a dice roll on that. Sometimes you get them and they're perfect. Sometimes you get them and they don't save, they don't read. The plastic is cheap and warped and it doesn't even fit in your system. A bunch can happen, but that's what you get for paying $3 to $5 for some games that could potentially cost hundreds. Now, the last batch of repros I ordered, one game in particular I wanted. I ordered a repro of Metal Gear Solid for Game Boy Color. And it was the first and only repro I got that was unusable. It was warped. It was bowed out. I couldn't stick it in in the actual Game Boy. I have no idea if it would even read. Which, luckily, they refunded the money on that one. The rest of them, most of the time for like Game Boy Advance, I've been very lucky. I've actually got really good reproductions. Now, I have a mix of repros and authentic stuff here. I do not currently have any repro Game Boy games or Game Boy Color games to compare with. I do have DS authentic and repro, and I have GBA authentic and repro games. So we're going to talk about those, and then at the end, I'm going to go over, you know what, no, I'm going to do this now. So before we get into how to spot a fake, really quickly, I have made older videos discussing getting rid of the stock SD card, if you want to call it that these companies send you. Now, most of the time, you get a card like this. It just says 64 on it. Sometimes you get lucky and get one of these cards that actually have a name on it, and from my understanding, that's kind of an off-brand of, I think, Samsung or something, SanDisk, I don't know. Somebody in the comments that knows what this company really is. I can never remember if it's Samsung or SanDisk or whichever one. These are pretty good, and honestly, looking through my handhelds, I have like one laying around that still has this brand card in it, and it's working fine. But if you keep this card you are just waiting for it to fail. Now, it can fail in many ways. All right, one of the main things I've seen is your handheld just kind of quits turning on. It'll light up, the screen will stay black. That's it. All right, nothing works after that. So, to test this, I left this card, stock everything, in my Nano, because I don't use my Nano very often. I figured it was a good test device. And I kind of tried to keep track of how many hours of playtime on the Nano and on this card. Well, a couple weeks ago, I went to turn on the Nano. Screen lit up, nothing else. The card failed finally. Now, looking at everything I've done on the Nano, I'm probably right at, I'd say right between 8 to 10 hours of actual playtime on the Nano, and this card failed. Done. Okay, finished. Doesn't do shit anymore. So that's what you're going to run into. Now, with something like the Nano, it's not, I guess we'll call it, it's not one of their mainstream devices. So getting something like garlic, things like that on it, not really. Now, what you can do is you can hunt down a copy of the FunKey operating system. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off and turn it back on so you can see. And that's what I did. I went and got a copy of the FunKey operating system and stuck it on here. Now, if you guys don't know, the FunKey S is a small, very well built clamshell handheld, roughly the size of the Nano. It's an amazing little handheld. I don't currently have my FunKey S, but it's an awesome handheld. And when FunKey did it, they made it all open. So immediately their operating system was taken by Powkitty and stuck on the Q36 Mini. As soon as that happened, people were contacting FunKey saying, "Did you see that Powkitty's using your operating system?" And FunKey responded with, "That's awesome. I hope it works out for them. We made it open to anybody. They're free to use it," which was really cool for a smaller company like that. I believe you can still pick up the FunKey S off their website. They have them in a lot of colors. They're awesome. They're small, little Game Boy Advance SP-like. They're really well made, okay? Now, they only have L and R like the Nano. So, but you can honestly go Google things like PS1 games that do not need L2 or R2, and you can get a Google Drive document showing you a list of a bunch of games that run just fine without L2 and R2. It's not bad, because, I mean, you'll play up to PlayStation 1 on it. Not comfortably. I mean, it's a small screen. All right, let's turn this on. And you'll see, there it is, FunKey S. So, and this is really easy to do. So, if you do have a Nano and your Nano has, well, died, also really quick, I like the way FunKey did this, and you can go ahead and change your theme from here and everything. You can also just plug this in to a USB-C, plug it into the computer. You don't need an SD reader, and it'll pick up. As soon as you plug it into your computer, go into the hit power once, go into this menu, and you'll see a mount USB option. And if you hit A, and it's going to say, "Are you sure?" Hit A again. It'll populate on your computer. So that way you can move BIOS, games, whatever, even if you don't have an SD reader. All you need is a cable. So really quick, if you have a Nano and it's died, this is where you want to go. What's this guy? So Drum 78 up here in the corner. Drum 78, FunKey OS. Then you go over here, you see Custom OS for the FunKey S, Q36 Mini, and the RG Nano. You're going to scroll down to assets. Now, as you look through here, you'll see FunKey, let's just say root, Drum 78, RG Nano. You don't want that one. Go down a little further. FunKey SD card, Drum 78, RG Nano .image. That's what you want. Download the image file. Once you have the image file, stick your SD card. Please remove it for this, though, but don't keep it in the Nano. You know, that's not going to work for you. Take it out, SD reader, stick it in the computer. I went ahead and formatted a 62 or 64 gig card in FAT32 using GUI format. So, and yeah, once you do that, Go ahead and stick it in a file like I did over here. A little folder, it's on my desktop. Funkey SD card, Nano image. Open up Blender Etcher. You're going to hit flash from file. Locate the download. Select target. Pick your SD card. Hit flash. Now, as soon as you flash it, when it's done, and it should be pretty quick, it'll pop up and say, you need to format this card to use it. That's for a different partition. That's for the operating system. Don't hit format. Don't hit OK. Just close it. And then you'll have a blank white box where it's trying to go into that partition. Just close that. Now there'll be a second partition on it for your games. Not at this point. So at this point, once you're done, you close all that after it's warning you about formatting it. Pull the SD card out. Stick it back in the Nano. Turn it on. The Nano will run a whole boot up process. It'll create all the files and folders you need. Once it does that, you're on the Funkey operating system. Hit the button. Go over to power it down. SD card. However, at this point, you also can use the cable and mount it. Back in your computer, open up the file, and you'll see all of your, well, ROM folders. It'll instantly take you into where you have, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, whatever, and then you can move your ROMs in. Now with this, you do need a Game Boy Advanced BIOS. You do need a PS1 BIOS. I can't tell you where to get them, but you need them. For GBA, as soon as you open it up, it'll say like where you put your GBA ROMs. There's a folder in there for BIOS. Stick it in there. For PS1, there'll be a folder labeled Funkey. Click in that, and you'll see a PCSX folder. Stick your PS1 BIOS in there. There'll be a BIOS folder within there. Once you do that, your Nano will be alive again. Pull it out. Pull the SD card out of your computer. Stick it back in the Nano. Turn it on. Voila. Your Nano's alive again and running perfectly fine. Take a drink while this loads up. See? Nice. All right. So that's going. Yeah, you can change your aspect ratio there too. Let's jump over real quick. So this is a list of games I threw on here. Of course, they're PS1 games. I gotta clean this up a little because these are all like your bin, file, track folders. All that fun bullshit. But you can pause if you need to see some of these games, but these all work without L2, R2. Yeah, I need to clean this up badly. I just did it before the start of this video, so I haven't gone in and cleaned up the folders to get rid of all that excess. But all these PS1 games work without L2, R2 and will run just fine on here. Now, when I say just fine, I mean the game runs fine. Seeing dialogue, text, and what have you is kind of a pain in the ass. You can mess with aspect ratio if you want. Ooh, even worse. Get a little zoomed action. Anyway, okay, so that's that. Hopefully that fixes somebody's Nano. This also kind of applies to any of the XX series. Really, any of your handhelds that you turn on and it'll light up, but the screen just stays black and doesn't do anything. If you got this little SD card in it, that's what's going on. Go get your new SD card, get your new operating system, and your handheld will be alive again. All right, now on to the main part of this video. That's why I got all the lights on in my office right now to show this. All right, so for me, when it comes to Game Boy Color games, one of your biggest telltale signs when looking at one to see if you're buying a reproduction or an authentic one, and this is really easy, it's the screw on the back. This is the biggest sign right here. If you see that Nintendo screw right there or you need a specific bit to get in there, press that and open it, you're more than likely getting an authentic game. There's many other ways to tell. I mean, you can look at the plastics on it and see if it's bowed out, like right here, right on that seam. I mean, if it doesn't look like this, if it looks like that's separated really badly, that's cheap plastic. You see that a lot in reproductions. That's a big telltale sign. And always pay attention to how like Nintendo Game Boy is written on here. If you see any difference in there, if it's not the same exact font style there, you're probably getting a repro. Now, the dangers of buying online is I could show you a repro, or I could show you the authentic one all I want, and then send you a repro. So as soon as you get it, check. Now, I didn't bring my bit to open this up, but on these, if you do open it up, you will see, of course, the Nintendo logo on the board on the inside. That's also a big indicator. A lot of people will open them up and show you the board before they sell you the game. That way you can see it says Nintendo. But seriously, that board could be from any game. You never know. So this is, if you can see this stuff when you're purchasing, it could save you from overpaying for a reproduction. A lot of times I've went to buy games and seen them on different apps, Mercari, whatnot, eBay, message the seller like, hey man, that's a reproduction. I'm not paying you, the price of an authentic game. That's a repro. I've met people off of like Facebook Marketplace to pick up games. They brought repros. I explain it's a reproduction copy. I'm not giving you $100 for Metal Gear Solid, $80 for Lufia for Game Boy Color when you're trying to give me a reproduction version that's worth $5. So watch for that. If you have an analog pocket also, which I should have brought mine for this, you can stick the cart in your analog, turn it on, go to play cartridge. If it shows you the readout, like company name and all this, Nintendo, whatever, what it gives you an actual description of the cart, it's authentic. All right, let's move on to Game Boy Advance. All right. This is the good one right here. One of these is a repro, one of these is real. You can already see there's some differences in them. Okay, good. That's because I believe this one's EU, but okay. So one of the things I've always noticed, I forgot how much of a bitch this case is. Okay. Now this is an authentic Golden Sun. Okay. Now a lot of people say go off this little stamp number, and it's on here too. If you can find it, there it is. You can't really see it, but it's right there. Which this one is 21. See if you can see it on this one. I gotta clean these. I just got them. There you go. You see it lighten up right there. 20 something. All right. That's another way. Now, I have talked to people who said they've seen this number on a reproduction. Never know, right? Anyway, so there it is, 11. Now, my biggest sign for picking out a reproduction Game Boy Advance game is not necessarily the screw on the back, the little tri-wing screw there. Has nothing to do with the Nintendo. I mean, the plastics are very noticeable on a Game Boy Advance repro because they are the shittiest plastics used. Honestly, I think they're a little shittier than Game Boy and Game Boy Color, but whatever. My biggest thing I look for is right here. The way Game Boy Advance is stamped on here. Now, pay attention to this. I'm going to bring this back. Okay, you see how it's written? Pay close attention. It's just lightly in there. Okay? Let's see. You see the difference? You see how this is a lot deeper? It's like it's etched in there, and this is just kind of cheap and surface level right here. Just barely put on there. And this is nice, and you can feel it kind of raised, and it's etched in there nice and deep. The one that's etched in there nice and deep and looks really good is the fake. Look for the G. You see how the G in the authentic one's all fat? The G in this one's all skinny and well defined. You can really tell it's a G. Over here, I mean, you're like, okay, that just all runs together. The shittier looking one is the real one. Flip them over. See? Decent reproduction. Same screw. Same Nintendo logo. Well, font differences, but you see what I'm saying? The Nintendo logo's on the back. See what I mean? It's very close. This is a decent one. Even the plastic's decent on this one. But that Game Boy right there, that tells you everything. Let's see if this one has the number. I never looked. See if this one has a fake number. I'm going to look over here for a minute, guys. Okay, this one does not have the number. I've never personally encountered a repro that actually had this stamp little engraved number right here. I've never seen it, but I've had people tell me they have. So watch for that. But this is that right there. That is the biggest telltale sign. This has made it 100% for me. I have never bought a reproduction game at authentic game price using this method to look at the Game Boy Advance logos here. This is 100%. Okay. Once again, didn't bring my screwdriver to open these up. But yeah, you can open them up, see Nintendo on the board. Once again, they can be showing you a fake board anyway, or a board from a different game. So there you go. Repro authentic. Do it again. Repro authentic. And this one should have the number. There it is. Now, let's do these two. I'm going to open them up. I don't want to show you too much of them until I get them up on screen, because you might be able to tell really quickly. Stack them together. See what I'm talking about? Which one's the fake? Fake. Authentic. Fake. Let's see if this one has the... Let me pull it aside. No, once again, I still have never seen a repro with that number on there. I'm guessing the repro they were talking about. No, that doesn't work. I think the post is different inside. Anyway, here's another. Here's what I'm talking about. Look at that. Look at that horrible plastic. It's all bowed out. This one rocks on top of it. I mean, look at that. It's all separated right here. See that? You can see light through there. Nothing. On the back. I mean, I know the color is a big thing, but seriously, these games are old. Sometimes discoloration just happens. They could have left it out somewhere, you know, you never know. Once again, same screw. At a glance, the back looks the same. I mean, you may end up coming across a repro that has really decent plastic that's not bowed out, and it could confuse you. But 100% every time, there's your difference. The very shallow, really fat font on there is the authentic one. The skinny, well-defined G and Game Boy. Looks like it's nice and deep in there. That's the repro. So there you go. That's Game Boy Advance. Now when it comes to DS, this is a little trickier. DS reproduction games are very good. Okay? Every one I've seen is very good plastic. Okay? There is, however, some design issues, just like the Game Boy Advance, that tells you which one's a fake. So we're going to compare a fake and an authentic one now. Now, just because I have a case for Chrono Trigger doesn't mean this is the authentic one. Keep that in mind. You can easily get a case. So now let's look at these. Right off the bat, I will tell you there's one major thing that I look for. This is the first thing that I want to see on a DS game if I'm going to buy it, to make sure I'm looking at a real one. I'll see if you can spot it. Okay, don't look too closely. It's right on the sticker. Pay attention. Slip them over. You see the difference? Yeah, dropping stuff. Let me help you out. Look at the middle number and the serial number. YQUE. There it is, stamped on the back. YQUE. ACBE. What? ADAEN. Authentic. Reproduction. Now, just in case you're still unsure, and that's not the selling point to you, and it should be. I've also 100%ed this just using that method alone off of that middle number being stamped on the back, which we're lucky companies that do reproductions don't go through and fix that, because it'd be harder. But there's a couple more things you can use. One of the other things is this triangle at the bottom. For the authentic game, it's just like the stamping on the Game Boy Advance cart. This triangle is really shallow. It's almost just barely there at the bottom of Chrono Trigger. This one is cut a hell of a lot deeper. See what I'm saying? You can see the differences in them. Very shallow, very deep. Now, for the other thing I use, there's a rectangle on top of an authentic DS game that's not on repros. Right there. See that little rectangle on Chrono Trigger? See how on the DS game, it's just flat across the top, nothing standing out except the seam. There you go. The authentic game will have that little rectangle. The fake will not. So, DS games, look for the serial number to match the middle number. YQUE, YQUE, ACBE, nope, ADAE. So, now, like I said, the plastics on a reproduction DS game are really good. They're really good. If you don't know that serial number, if you don't know to look for this little triangle right here, you can see it just stand out. You can see the difference. It's right there. Or not triangle. Well, triangle on the front, but the little rectangle up here. And then, of course, the difference in the little arrow here, that little triangle. One being really dug in, the other just being really shallow. It would be hard to tell. Now, I've gone to places like Vintage Stock and seen reproductions in their case. Oh, look at them. My stand just died. Okay, I'm going to hold it with one hand then. I knew I forgot to charge that this morning. Alright. Doesn't matter, I'm ending the video anyway, so. But there you go, everybody. That's how you tell the difference. So look through your games. If you've bought some authentic ones recently, look through them. Sorry, the camera's moving a lot. I'm holding it. Yeah, look through them and see if you can spot the difference. Look through and see if you recently paid really high price for a $3 to $5 reproduction game. Okay? This is all an attempt just to help you guys not get ripped off. If you know you're buying a reproduction, there's no problem with doing that. Buy a reproduction. It's a cheap way to have a game collection. Do not turn around and sell the reproduction as an authentic game. Okay? I've sold reproductions many times to people, but I put it's a reproduction, and I will contact them when they're buying off me. I'm like, hey, you do understand it's not authentic. Of course, I always take the game, stick it in my own system, start a save, or start a game, get on there, play, save, pull it out, let it sit for a little bit, put it back in, turn it on, and reload my save to make sure it's working. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. Thanks for watching once again. If you have any methods you use for spotting a fake, put it in the comments. Let me know. And if this video helped you spot a fake, or if after watching this you looked through your collection and went, holy shit, this is well, fake's a harsh word. If you look through your collection and go, holy shit, this is a reproduction, I thought it was authentic, let me know in the comments. And I'm sorry if this was a little late and you just recently bought a reproduction at a high price. Let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, see you guys in the next episode.